Hi, everybody. Oh, look, this background looks so rough. Here, let me try and make it look better. It's not going to look better, you guys. It's just not going to look better today. However, I am excited to be here with you. Let's see what we've got going here. All right. Oh, man. So Venus retrograde is happening. It is happening today. It started today in the sign of Scorpio, and it's going to retrograde through the sign of Scorpio, and then at the end of the month on the 31st it will actually take that retrograde back into the sign of Libra. So hopefully you have watched my Venus in retrograde video and you've already checked that out, especially because it's going to affect all of us. No one is exempt from a Venus retrograde. That's absolutely for sure. So it'll just depend on where it's falling in your chart. Hi! It's going to depend on where it's falling in your chart, where you may feel the majority of the effects. And so I wanted to come in here quickly. It's a beautiful Friday. I'm getting ready to take my family to dinner. But I wanted to come in here and talk about it through the houses, get you guys a little bit of an idea, maybe a little bit of guidance on, hi Brittany, on how you can kind of feel through what's happening in your chart. As well, for the first 10 people who click the link that I'm going to put down there, you can ask a question very specifically about your chart. It's an Ask Stormie, but this one's only $10. So it's only for the first 10 people. So I'm going to put the link and figure out how to do that. See, now you guys can actually see, though, how I get the back. It's not. Okay, hopefully. Okay, I think I've got, there we go. I've got that. I can't see how I can post a message. So if anybody knows how to post a message, you just let me know. Thank you very much. It's a traditional fall makeup look, which I'm pretty pumped about. Okay, guys, I can't see where to post the link exactly. So after this video, immediately, hi Passion, hi Serene, hi Chaz, oh, hi Heather, hi Crystal, hi Kylie, oh, Ginger, Leslie. So right after this video, guys, as soon as I'm done going live, since I can't see exactly where to post it, I will put that link. And again, it's only going to be for the first 10 people. So the first 10 people, if you've got a question about your chart, you've got a question, something like that, $10, you get an opportunity to ask that question. I'll email you back a response before the end of the weekend, okay? So let's get jumping here. I'm looking at the chart. I'm going to thank you. I have really been in a place where I'm kind of glowing here lately, and it's been really nice. So my makeup's been a little bit better. I put a little bit more effort in, things like that. I don't know. I've just kind of had a shift. I think, honestly, the shift is being all the way done with school, all the way published, my paper, and all of that good kind of stuff. So I'm stepping into a new version of myself. So I'm glad it's coming off well, though, you guys. Thank you very much. And thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being on this live chat. You guys have other stuff going on. It is Friday almost everywhere in the world, unless you're on the other side of the world. It may be Saturday. So thank you for showing up. So let's do this. Let's get into it. Let's talk through it so we can get you in and out. So again, I hope you checked out the Venus retrograde video. Click the link after the video and you can ask that question if you need to. But Venus retrograde is happening today and it started at 10 degrees of Leo. Now remember, this is Leo. Let me quit my job. Scorpio. So it is important for you to identify on your chart, and hopefully you have a natal chart or a solar return, whatever you're looking at. If you don't have any of those charts, I'll put links in the bottom of this video as well. Grab your chart. You've got to have your chart so that you know what degree that you need to be looking at. So on your chart, you want to find your Scorpio energy and you want to find 10 degrees. And this is the house or the area that it's happening for you. It could be happening in a house. It could be happening at an angular point, which would be your rising sign, your descendant, your midheaven, your IC, right? Is something going over one of your nodes? So these are the points that you want to know. So 10 degrees of Scorpio is where you want to focus in today, okay? Now, when Venus is in retrograde, we go back over beauty. We go back over romance. We go over finance. We go over esteem and value, right? So this is very much so a question of value. But as we go through the houses, I'm going to try and throw you a couple different options because, you know, I'm not psychic. This could be manifesting anyway in your chart, so I want to give you a couple ideas to think about, okay? So let's start in the first house here. If Venus is retrograding on your ascendant or through your first house, the first thing I think of, because remember, Venus is the planet of beauty, and the ascendant sign is an external energy. This is the mask. People meet and judge and greet this person well before they ever get to know your Ushigushy core, certainly your moon sign, right? This is external visual things that we can see here, right? And this is also kind of a way that you're regarding yourself, because your identity is wrapped up here, right? Your identity is wrapped up because it's how you're presenting yourself. So if you've got Venus coming across that ascendant, coming through that first house, you are going to be trying to put your sexy back on, right? You're going to be looking at, how am I showing up? How am I dressing? How am I presenting myself to the outside world? How am I presenting my products? How am I presenting the front of my lawn, right? Whatever it is, if we can see it in that external environment, you may be thinking about how you need to redress that up. You almost just might find too that you're more interested in your own appearance, or you're interested in the way that something looks. Now, being interested in beauty or beautiful things is not actually, doesn't make you shallow. We're going to walk for a second because my phone's dying. So it doesn't actually make you shallow. It's actually a thing that you're allowed to do. You're allowed to be interested in how you and other things look, okay? So don't worry about feeling shallow if you're like, oh my God, Venus is going through my first house. It's all right. You're just trying to do a little makeover, and that's never a bad thing. All right. Now, one of the other things that I think about with Venus in this first house space is how you're showing up in your external conflicts or situations or interactions, right? Do you need to bring some more harmony, some more chill to the table? Because this could definitely be something that you are looking at. And I say this because in that external way, the way that you're interacting in conversations and things like this, the way that you're interacting in conflict, right? If you've been super aggressive or you've been whatever, what you need to be looking right now is like you can actually bring some peace, right? Like you can bring some peace here. I'll just say this too before I move on from the first house. If you do have this energy running through your first house, please don't judge yourself. Please be very gentle with any judgment that you have of yourself here, because this can be a very self-critical house, actually, because it's the I am not pretty enough, or this is too much of me, or whatever. So try and be mindful with those judgments, okay? Now, if Venus is rolling on over there through your second house, which is the house she's very comfortable in because she typically is a ruler of that area, you're going to be looking over finance, right? You need to look at that budget, pull your budget out. Look at it. What do these numbers look like? Where do you have excess? Where can you let something go? Where have you wanted to spend very extravagantly on something? You know, where's that purchase? You're like, when I get to this goal, I'm going to spend this and I'm going to get this thing. Look over it now, because here's the fun part about it. While Venus is retrograde, even though it is not a great time to make super big purchases or anything like that, maybe that thing that's been on your list, you've been budgeting for, you've been waiting for, now somebody has it on a really good sale, right? Because that's something that happens during Venus retrograde. People are like, I'm tired with this, doesn't have value for me anymore. I need to let it go. And organizations do the same thing. So look at that. You know, have you needed to replace your couch, replace something like that, and now everything's on sale around you, or somebody's like, hey, you know, I'm going to be letting this go. So pay attention to things like that, okay? Now, another thing I think of is Venus is pay attention to food. I really think it's important here because Venus is very indulgent. She likes her food. She likes that sensuality. So food, clothing, any of those things that make you feel good. Pay attention to those in your world. Now, of course, in the second house, we deal with esteem, right? Self-esteem. It's self-esteem. So it's got to come from you. Where are you at with this? Has your self-esteem over this last 6 months in the retrograde season taken a hit? And you're kind of like, whew, I'm not quite sure who I am. I might need to brush my shoulders off. I'm not sure which way to point myself yet. If your self-esteem is or you're looking to grow here, or maybe you're in a situation like I am, I've become a different person in the world. I'm not quite sure how this woman moves yet. If your self-esteem has needed a little bit of help, this will be a great place to check that out as well. And if you do need to bring your sexy back or your sensuality, feel free to take a look at that as well. All right, Venus rolling through the third house, which this is where it's happening for me. And let me just tell you what, the third house of communication has been lit, you guys. Even since Venus entered into shadow time, for me, what happened is the super X, like the X. You guys know who I'm talking about. The one where I was like, look, I can't even be around you because every time I'm around you, my vagina just wants to eat this chair I'm sitting in. I cannot be around you, right? Like that X came back into my world, and instead of having it be this drama or this just highly sexual tension or anything like that, it was peace. We made peace, and that slate is clean and my soul is lighter. And it was through communication that happened, right? So very much so in the third house space. So your communication could be changing. You could have people coming back and talking to you. You could have projects coming back. You could have, if you were studying something, maybe you are interested in it, or you're retaking a test, or you're doing something like that. And this is interesting too, because with Venus in retrograde in the third house and its Scorpio energy, Scorpio's DP is looking for those details as well. So you could also find yourself being a lot more introspective during this energy as well, okay? Now, here's the other part of the Venus retrograde. The third house is also over transportation. Is it time for you to get a new car? You could find that a car or a short-term travel issue or a short-term travel opportunity comes up as well. So pay attention to that, okay? So this is the the third house space. Now, I recommend in almost every single one of my moon videos that I do that you keep a moon or an astrology journal so you can track the changes that are happening, so you can see if your manifestations are panning out. Wonderful energy to grab that journal during this time as well, okay? This could also open a door for something that you had requested information for in the past, okay? Because remember, the retrograde sending us back, so it could be bringing something to your table. All right, let's do, oh yes, I know. Let me tell you what I know about that car trouble. I was saying, oh, Josh, I think I'm ready to buy a new car. And then I said, you know what? No, I'm going to wait. I don't know. I don't think that's the thing I want to do. And the car rolled right in front of me. I mean, it just happened. And so now I get to consider that, right? So it's interesting how these things come back. I also had a past colleague that I wanted to work with come back and ask me if I wanted to study with her. So, you know what I mean? It's really interesting when you know what house that's happening for you, so you can watch how it's unfolding. All right, let's talk about this fourth house. And don't worry, if your Venus is in Scorpio, I'll talk to you in just a minute, okay? Now, Venus retrograde in Scorpio, running through that fourth house. You are first of all, your inner beliefs, your inner self-esteem, all of those solid foundations. This is the very first home you will ever have, okay? It's right here, at least in this lifetime, right? So it's here. So that inner security for you has got to be set. And so you may be looking over all sorts of things. Does this belief have value anymore? I know that this is what my family raised me on, but does it still have value in my life? I know that I've been holding this grudge, like I've been holding on to this grudge, but does it have value in my life? Is it going to help me move forward on the other side, right? Or does it harm my esteem? Do I need to maybe shake that off, right? That could definitely be a thing that you're looking at. Do you need to let go? Now, because Venus is a materialistic planet as well, I do want to say in your home, your physical home, you could be saying, I need to, you need to figure out what kind of material changes need to be made in your house. Let me say it that way. Whether it's repairs, you need to redecorate, you need to buy another house, you need to move, somebody's leaving the house, whatever it is, you could be looking at these things for sure. Now, during Venus retrograde in the fourth house, some people say that they want to be at home more, especially because Scorpio can be a much more reflective energy, right? Scorpios are great at getting out and being social butterflies, most of them. Anyways, they usually work the room and their mysterious charm is absolutely delicious. So this may be a little bit of a switch for you, a switch for your experience. So watch that in the fourth house. The last thing I'll say is because Venus is indulgent, if you are staying home or you're visiting homes or whatever, watch your weight, watch your food, because Venus retrograde, you're just thinking about the good old days. These emotions are rising up. Oh, this cheese is so delicious. Oh, this wine is so good, right? And you're thinking, and it's like an emotional place. So make sure that you're watching what you're intaking or moving your hiney after you eat all that good stuff, okay? Okay, Venus rolling through your fourth or your fifth house. I actually think that this is a great one because Venus wants pleasure, and the fifth house is the joy house. It wants pleasure and fun as well. So this could actually be great for just asking you flat out the question, are you having fun yet? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing in our life that has the value of just pleasure for us, right? Where is your self-expression out? This is the house of self-expression. Your self-esteem and your expression is a very big connection, right? When I lack my self-esteem, I feel like I need to hold what I have to say back. I need to hold my art back. I need to hold my craft back. I become afraid of making videos for you guys. Do you know what I'm saying? Like things like that could definitely be coming up. This is a social home as well. The fifth house will be 11th house, but at a lower level. Now, in another sense, hi everybody coming in. In another sense, I think that the fifth house can also be a little bit frustrating because sometimes in the fifth house you start to really have a good time. It's like you find a good time. You find your creativity. You find your intuition. You find your inspiration. And so your head is set here. And then Venus moves on and you're like, no, I'm losing my mojo. So it can kind of be an interesting energy, I think, to work with here. Of course, with the fifth house, we have taking risk. Is there something that you need to take a risk on? Do you need to take a risk and say something, share something? Is there something from your past? Is there a romance from your past? Is there something that you need to share on? We've got lots of Me Too stuff going on right now. And if that happens to be a boat that you're in, I would tell you, pay attention, speak up. This may be your season, right? Something from your sexual past could be coming up and it might be time to express that. So if that's you, I'm sending you lots and lots of love and support around all of that stuff, okay? Things with children, your baby daddy, your baby mama. This is Venus, right? They could pop up. You could see an issue showing up from that side or something from the past that just needs to be healed. It could actually be something with your children. In a way, because this energy is, because Venus is retrograde and she's got this connection to Mars, I do think with children, one of the things that could be coming up, depending on the age of your children, I need to take that back because I've said that incorrectly. Pay attention to your children and to yourself because this is the time of reproductive energy, right? It's not always that everybody's going out getting pregnant or anything like that, but reproductive talks could be on your table right now. Right? You know, you're thinking, oh, I don't know, maybe 9 and 10 is too old for some of this talk. And they ask you a question and you're like, okay, all right, we're there, we're having it, right? Also within yourself, everybody, because Venus is retrograde in Scorpio, pay attention to that reproductive sexual organ stuff. Make sure it's all good, you know, moisturized goods. That's what I'm saying. All right, let's move on to the sixth house. This is the house of health. Pay attention to what you're eating, what you're drinking. Venus is indulgent. I'm telling you, the combination of emotions looking at the past and food and drink is just an absolute nachos. You know, it just is. No, reproductive talks for everybody. I say specifically if you've got it in the fifth house, pay attention because it's a space of children, conception, your children, ideas of children, things like that. So just pay a little bit of extra attention, but I think everybody should pay attention to their reproductive goodies right now. Okay, so let's see. We're going to deny that call. Okay, so the other things to pay attention here are your just your health routine, right? Venus is retrograde here. What's the value? What's the value of the workout routine you've got going on right now? You know, is there any value to it? Are you over there and you are sweating it out on the treadmill running and you think to yourself the entire time, I hate running. I would rather be fill in the blank. How do you need to move for pleasure? How do you need to move that will bring enjoyment and bring value to your workout routine or to your health routine? And I think this also includes mental health. In the sixth house, I very much so include mental health because what you're saying, what the conversation is up here is translating through every cell in your body, okay? So here, do you need to find a different practitioner? Right? Do you need to find a practitioner that you feel brings you a lot more harmony within your body or a routine or something like that, okay? So pay attention to that. I think the other thing to pay attention to here also is that if you are having issues with coworkers, this can actually be really nice for trying to harmonize old issues. Let me tell you what, nobody has been talking to me all day and I'm getting text messages like crazy. So it could be a time where you're harmonizing something in your work zone. If you're a freelance person, you could also have an opportunity coming back to you, right? If you do freelance work, this could be Venus bringing an opportunity to earn back into you as well. So pay attention to those things as well, okay? All right, in the 7th house, Venus, natural ruler of this space, relationships, of course. That's what we're doing in the 7th house. But remember, by the time we're looking at the 7th house, you guys, these are conscious, chosen relationships. I choose you to be in my world because there's a purpose. You help me fit my ideal of being married. You help me fit my ideal of whatever. I consciously choose you in the 7th house. And I also, in the 7th house, happen to know who my enemies and my people that I have issues with are, right? And don't forget, conscious chosen relationships can be business partnerships as well, okay? So with Venus, the ruling sign, retrograde in this house, it could be a time of conflict in relationships. It absolutely can be. We're flipping it back to the past. You're remembering that one time from the 90s. You're mad about it all over again because you never really spoke up for it the first time, right? You could have people, lovers from the past coming back into your life. Situations of romantic conflict or previous romantic conflict could be running back to the table, and it's coming up for you to solve. In your particular partnerships that you have, whether it's a business relationship or maybe something romantic, you could be seeing challenges because you're reevaluating what are your needs, what are your wants, what is the value standard that you have to stay in this relationship or to have this relationship function the way that you believe that it needs to, right? So you've got to have these value needs met in order for the relationship to survive. And at the same time, if really important to me and you're getting / needing to look at that, which is a beautiful thing. You could be looking at finances between the two of you in a relationship, right? Now, remember too, this can also be a business relationship. So in your business partnerships, do you need to go over your budget, your books, your things like that? Now, if you are single, not looking to mingle, or just single, whichever single box you check, this can be a time where past romance or the need for affection is pouring back in. And while that can sound horrible, let me tell you where that's useful and effective. If you've been going, you've been achieving, you've been doing this thing, you've been whatever, right? You've kind of been on your track. And this is a time where the universe is saying, okay, it's okay, and you deserve to be loved as well. You deserve to be loved in all your partnerships, including the partnership of you with you, how you talk to, interact, deal with, and care for yourself. You deserve good, right? You deserve, right? So it can be things like that coming up as well. So if you're single, don't worry. This energy has certainly not left you out to dry, right? Like not at all. And because it's in Scorpio too for everybody, if this is happening in your 7th house, don't be surprised if some old wounds come up or some old thing that you need to say, does this have value for me anymore? Okay, that could definitely be a thing. All right, in the 8th house, natural, comfortable Scorpio ruled energy. So in the 8th house, we're offered the opportunity to look very deeply at our psychology, our inner mind, our spirituality, our thoughts and beliefs and practices around astrology, tarot, metaphysics, any of these things, and also our sexuality, which let me tell you, this is such a delicious house to have developed because your sexuality is not just the act of sex, of course, it's that root chakra energy where you create life, you create magic, you create movement, right? We don't just have, if we're going to continue to be in relationships where we're faking orgasms, that is no bueno, right? Or we're going to take it to teach. There's a lot to consider here. It's quite profound because the idea of this particular house is intimacy. A deep joining together. Intimacy means you see into me. So we get to get real tight with some information in this particular house. Now, on the other side of that, in the 8th house, we do have joint connections that have to do with finance, and that is equally as intimate, right? If I'm investing with you or in you, or I owe you money, any of those kinds of things. Hi, Jerry. Hi, everybody coming in. These are things that are very intimately important to me, right? My romance and my finance are important to me, right? So if you've got any of these things going on, you could have them coming back up in the eighth house. Do you have debt here that needs to be paid? Which, just because you have debt that needs to be paid, this could also be an energy that it's time for you to evaluate. You're just evaluating during this retrograde, right? Unless something comes up and specifically needs your attention, you're evaluating what are the steps, what are the processes I'm going to take to move towards healing this, letting this go, shedding it, because you want this house to have value, the highest value that it can have, right? All right, ninth house. This can be a little bit frustrating, I think, with Venus in Scorpio up there in the ninth house, because it creates a little bit of a limitation, honestly, right? You've got these dreams, these visions, these goals, this long distance plan, or this long distance love, maybe even in your world. You maybe want to publish something, put something out there or something like that, right? You want to share yourself with the world, get yourself out bigger. And what's happening is that the greater vision is still there, but the movement is not always as available, because in a retrograde, you're not always sure of the exact value of what you've got to put out. Even if it was a product that 6 weeks ago you were like, this is my thing, this is my book, this is my channel. Something about it, you go, wait a minute. I want to share this idea. I want to share my philosophy here, but I'm not connecting to this for some reason. And that is okay. That is okay. Release the sense of judgment around it, and I think you'll start to see your way through. Now, on the other side of this, what can happen is you delayed it. You didn't put it out. You didn't sign up for school. You didn't tell the person that you're missing them, and you get the opportunity. It comes back, right? Like that offer from school comes back. Now, here's the thing. I would think if there's an offer that comes to your table during this first part of the Venus retrograde, which is the first part in October where it's in Scorpio, what may happen is you don't actually see any real movement until we get to November. So keep that in mind, okay? Try not to be disappointed with what's going on. A retrograde is tearing pieces out of your world because they don't belong there. You cannot take them forward. You cannot. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so let's move on to the 10th house. Up here at the tip top of the chart here, we've got Venus going retrograde up there. So the way that you are known, the way that your social standing in the world sits could definitely it could definitely be taking a reevaluation. How are you known out there? How are people seeing you? How do you want to be seen? This can definitely be a retrograde that helps you refine that public status, but also to refine yourself in your career zone, right? Like, and remember, when I say career, because we know the midheaven to be a career space, yes, it could be your career at work, but it's also your soul level calling, the gift that you have to go out and share with the world, right? In all of these areas, the 10th house is trying to help you refine and get you into a position to project an image and actions of success, right? This is what you want. You want to project something of value. Value here. Yes, you could definitely financially, professionally, soulfully be looking for new employment. You could feel like, I'm not finding the value here. It could be flat out some Venus energy where you're like, I'm not making enough money. I got to go. I got to get another job. I got to, whatever. Down to some funny things, in your workspace, whatever that looks like. And if you do not work per se for a company, you're stay-at-home parent, you're retired, you could be thinking about redecorating your space as well, right? In terms of considering the sign that's on your MC, it needs to be Scorpio, Taurus, or Libra for you to put a lot of weight into that, okay? So you want to make sure you get it by degree, 10 degrees of Scorpio right now until we move on. So in this 10th house, my other thought that I was having is that you could have a mentor coming into your world as well, or you could be becoming a mentor, like you're helping teach someone. You know, if anything in the 10th house, if you get the opportunity to up your value by taking a class or something like that, or going to a training or following somebody or something like that, even if you are the CEO of what you do, if you have the opportunity to bring more value in by getting some more information, definitely I would say do it, okay? All right, we've got Venus rolling over here through the 11th house. You got to relook at the friends, okay? And your social group. Who are you connected to? Does it have value, right? You know, join this business networking group, but the thing is everybody just sits around and complains about not having business. Not productive. Maybe not productive. You know, maybe that's what you want, but maybe not productive. What's the value of the people you are hanging out, spending time with? Not to mention, is it give take? Right? Is there give take in the relationships? The organizations, you know, are you at the right gym? What's the value, right? Look at the value of all of these things in this 11th house. Now, because it is still retrograde, there could definitely be, you know, a place you're at some kind of social gathering or between your friends or something like that, and there's an issue. Yes, Venus retrograde could bring up some things from the past. We're looking to the past, right? So there could be issue, but just because there's issue doesn't mean that it has to be full drama. There could be issue so that there can be resolution. This is definitely a thing that could happen. Whatever Venus is moving you forward to, she's trying to help you be free of, right? So think about that. What are you trying to relieve? Relieve. You could see friends from the past that you haven't. This is social, right? So any place there's social networking, Facebook, Twitter, any of those kinds of things, you could be going back to it and looking at those things for sure. Causes. You could be going back to some causes now at a social level. I'm telling you, we are seeing the Me Too and the all of these information of people starting to open up and come out about what happened to them. You could be being a part of the social movement as well if this is the time for you to be doing that. You could be looking back to romance. Oh, I just got this too. You could have a friend coming back into your world who was just a friend, but now they move into a position of romance. If that comes to your table, please take it very slow. Let's let this retrograde get done so that you don't get to the other side and it fizzles out, okay? But if they do, if something comes together like that, especially in this house, this is a very karmic information. So pay attention and keep me posted too if that's you. Okay. Venus retrograde in the 12th house. Venus retrograde in the 12th house. Yes, I think that Venus retrograde and Scorpio makes you feel empowered to whatever is coming up in your life. It is a very empowering energy and empowering to move forward and to release and to do the things that you need to do because you figure out what's really important to you. Okay, that's what you're really doing with Venus and Scorpio. Okay, so in the 12th house here, this is a time for many people where you're in transition, you're ending something. Things are ending, but what's happening is they're not just ending here in the 12th house. They've ended, and it is time to kind of let them be dissolved into the ether. You know, it's your transition time of really letting it go. And this is interesting because sometimes what happens in the 12th house is we feel this sense of my life is in shambles. I have this sense of abandonment, maybe even, right? Or you feel like maybe your senses are not even completely clear. There's just these connections, you know, those threads that tie us to each other, and you're trying to figure out how to cut them. Right? Now, I'm going to tell you, retrogrades in my 12th house, I always feel like, oh my God, when is the other shoe going to drop? Like it's just this impending sense for me of when is the other shoe going to drop? What's happening? You know what I mean? And the thing I have to do, and I think is a great practice if you've got energies running through the 12th house, especially in a retrograde fashion, is try not to cling too tightly to anything right now. You've got to be that moves between the world's energy. Wear the world like a loose garment. I think that applies right here. Now, other practical things that could be coming up in the 12th house as well is you could be spiritual awakening, right? You see something from the past. Oh man, actual relationship go. I got to let that romance, I got to let that requited love, I got to let that affair go. It doesn't have any value. We're not moving forward, right? It could certainly bring somebody back into your life and then an affair begins, right? Yep, that's a thing. Now, do you have a family member in the hospital? Do you have past medical situations? I just keep thinking institutions, nursing homes, hospitals, any of these kinds of things. I guess in a way I could even see procedures coming up as well. So you could have these things happening back there. So think about that. Are you trying to navigate this area? Because pay attention. Romance and finance. You got a family member in a nursing home, an assisted living. You've got somebody coming into the house. Make sure everybody's on their game and you're getting your money's worth. What's the value, right? The last thing I think of with the 12th house too is that I actually think it's a very good connection place, because you can connect with people in a space of compassion. You can connect with groups of people who are trying to be of that higher good. You maybe have people blow into your world who are not super egoic. They've got the ego in check. So it's not just this like bigger conversation all the time. You know what I mean? It's kind of a level of like peace. There's some comfort happening here. But certainly, if you have nothing else to think of, thought about this too. If you have nothing else to think of, this is definitely a place of transition. If you are a student, a detective, if you're looking for answers, if you're doing something like that, things in the past that have been covered up, you'll be able to see here. They should become readily available. Where to connect to it, right? Where to think, okay, I can kind of focus in on this, and to maybe keep a little journal, write some notes down, or think about how this is affecting you and what you're feeling based on just the housing space alone. Now, like I said, because I couldn't figure out how to put it in the link here on my phone, as soon as I end this particular live chat and I put it up on the on YouTube live, I will be taking the first 10 people to do an Ask Stormie for $10. So if you've got specific questions about your chart, this is the time to take advantage. And I will be emailing you back by the end of the weekend with the answers as to what I see and some amazing guidance to hopefully help you along, okay? I love each of you guys so much. Thank you so much for showing up, showing support to each other. I saw a lot of you guys welcoming each other and being kind in here, so thank you for that. And thank you for spending some time with me. It is Friday. I know everybody's trying to be out doing their own thing, and you chose to spend some time with me. So thank you guys so much, and I will see you very, very soon, okay? Bye, guys.